And we are live with another broadcast on the Roofing on the Rise studio. Today we have an awesome guest, Mike Eyman, your roofologist. Mike, how are you doing today?
Good, man. Just like I said, pregame, we're kind of trucking along, man. Just I got some new guys. We're getting them trained up, hitting the streets, and just shaking hands, kissing babies, trying to campaign for roofs, man.
Shaking hands and kissing babies. You know what it's all about?
I mean,
Man,
hey, when you're on the street, man, I'm trying to make connections. If you got a little baby there, I'm be like, oh, so cute. Let me get on your roof.
let's do this. Ladies and gentlemen, today is an awesome day. We are and always have been sponsored by Roofing Supply Incorporated here in the Houston marketplace. It is right above the roofologist head right there, Mike Eyman. If you guys are looking for an awesome distributor, come down to 249 and 45. Man, Mike, today I'd like to get into stuff people are not talking about right now. Let's talk about licensing of contractors. Let's talk about mindset. Let's talk about what you do on a daily basis. Because if for the audience that is unfamiliar with Mike is otherwise referred to as your roofologist. He has an amazing YouTube following, YouTube channel. Mike, tell us about your journey. Like, tell us how it started.
Yeah. So I came from service industry, got picked up by LA Fitness. Worked at LA Fitness for a number of years as an operations guy, running a couple departments and whatnot. And then from there, I got picked up by Topgolf. They were expanding. They were building in Allen. They wanted me to come, help them manage front end operations and whatnot. They ended up firing me from that job because part of it was a sales job, and they said that my sales tactics were too aggressive. So just to I won't go too far into this, but ultimately they had a deal where we would make a couple bucks commission, freshly open. People are coming in from all around, and they were offering for $35, you get $45 worth of game credit and a lifetime card. Or your other option is buy a $5 card, good for one day, and pay dollar for dollar. Dude, I could sell that to a broke person. So I did.
Right.
I just, every person that came in, they're like, oh, I'm from St. Louis. Hey, look, I don't know if you heard, but Topgolf's a big thing, man. We're going to be coming to St. Louis. So you might as well just go ahead and get your lifetime card right now. Anyways, they ended up letting me go. They said, we kind of want just people to, go on their own and pick what they want. I'm like, well, then don't pay people commission. Just don't incentivize people if you just want order takers. So anyways, I left there. I kind of had a short stop working for a company that was dealing with foreclosure inspections. It was kind of housing market crash, whatnot. And ultimately my time there was short because the business was designed to fill a void. They didn't really know what they were doing. There were accountants trying to put on a face for, another industry. And ultimately I was kind of venting to a buddy of mine. I was like, man, I'm a single dad. I don't know how I have a townhome that I technically can't afford because I'm now divorced. And he's like, man, you should really, my brother Mike's doing this, coincidentally named Mike as well. He's doing this whole roofing thing. That's what he said. And I was like, all right. He's like, it's sales, I was like, okay, well, I'm not scared of sales. Let's go. So anyways, I go in there and, I get the job and I have a good time, man. I didn't really know, you don't know what you don't know when you're coming in. Right. So you're working for a company, you're thinking, okay, well, that's legit. That's how things are run. And then over the course of time, self-educating, talking to other folks, they're like, oh, so yeah, you should take it all the way down to the deck. You shouldn't use 3-tab backwards to be starter. And so ultimately, I got picked up, recruited by Absolute Construction, who I was with for like 6 years. And then I really started Your Roofologist brand just to kind of bring awareness to like what's really going on. I'm not necessarily trying to throw anybody particularly under the bus. Of course, of late, I've kind of gotten a little bit more salty. So now I'm not. I'll throw somebody under the bus if they're just acting stupid and doing.
Why the fuck not?
Well, at first I wanted to bring awareness, but now I'm at the age where my give a fuck's broken.
Damn is busted.
Huh?
The give a damn's busted.
Yeah. So
right.
I don't do it a whole bunch, but every once in a while I'll put somebody on blast, like they're just doing bad stuff.
Yeah.
And I just got tired of hearing, stories every year, homeowners talking about, I had a contractor, he made off with a bunch of money, or I paid him everything and he did a shoddy job halfway, and now I have to pay him even more money. And so I don't know. I mean, I started the Roofologist brand just to kind of do awareness, and then I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed making videos. I enjoyed making
Yeah.
content, and it boded well for the business that was coming in, because my phone started ringing, just because they're like, well, you're transparent. I feel like I could
Yeah.
trust you because you're talking, educating, stuff like that. And here I am, man. It's I'm about 8 years into that brand deal, and yeah, I mean, I post regularly, and it's good. I like it. I enjoy doing it.
Dude, so I've been following the Roofologist actually before we knew each other.
Mhm.
Um, I'd seen your stuff online, and, you know, at first it was like I was like, "Oh, okay, this is pretty cool." And then it was like, "Oh, wait, dude, he's talking about stuff that not everybody's talking about right now." Right?
Yeah,
And I like that, right? So it's something that you can follow, um, that isn't a repeat. It's not a regurgitation, right? You're covering some pretty good stuff, and I like that.
well, I think the main thing that, and I'm not trying to separate myself from anybody necessarily. Like, we're all trying to put out good content, you
Right.
included. But
Thank you.
I think what separates what I'm doing versus what some other guys are doing, in some respect, is that I'm trying to do raw video. Like, I'm out in the field, I'm showing what's
Yeah,
going on, I'm showing how it should be done, and I'm not doing a
right.
whole bunch of like back end production quality stuff. I mean, now granted, I do for YouTube, and I did a Euroshield video, like a multiple, I mean, fully edited,
Yeah,
polished, for Euroshield, my testing of that product. And so for stuff like that, I will absolutely, put some production value on it, and send it to an editor and whatnot. But for the most part, I mean, it's just in the field. I find something that's messed up,
right.
or make some good content about, turn the camera on, boom. And then, honestly, that's my recommendation to my new guys. That's my recommendation to anybody, contractor wise, that is just like, man, I want to get on social media. I want to do more stuff. I mean, man, the first steps is just getting on, putting the camera in your face.
Yeah.
And
This is
so,
the easiest camera right here.
and it's quality, and the way they make the iPhones these days. I mean, the video quality, and now they have like this new one that I got has like cinematic mode, so it's like focuses
Yes.
up front,
Yep,
board in the back. I mean, it just
yep.
looks really nice. So
It looks really yeah, I was really blown away with the quality of the iPhone 14 Plus, or Pro Max or whatever the newest whatever it is.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Uh, yeah, like, I'm like, "Bruh, this is nuts." The first time I actually really got it, we just got the phone, and RSI sent my family to the Astros game. Actually, where I got this jersey.
Nice.
Shout out Darren, thank you so much for sending us out there. Um, and I was like, I was trying to catch the toddler. He's jumping up, "Woo, go Astros!" And I and I clicked it on accident, and I was like, "Whoa, dude, it is completely different
Yeah.
than so I have 2, so I got like 12 Pro Max,
Hmm.
and I mean, it's just like a step below it, and it just
It
does
still
not
does
get the same
everything. I
quality.
mean, I went ahead and sold. I sold both of our DSLR cameras, because I'm like, why do I need it? I have
Did
this in
you
my
really?
pocket. Yeah, I just spent it. I sold my Alpha 6, my Sony Alpha 6, just
When?
3 weeks ago, and yeah, I'm like, I got everything in my pocket, so I don't need it.
Uh, we may have wanted to look into those. We're actually looking into cameras right now.
Are
I
you?
don't but I hear both, right? Like, so I'm talking to a couple, and the only reason why really well, there's twofold. One, good production quality video for, in the studio. They stay in the studio, doesn't move. Um, but I've also heard on the other side of the fence, getting a couple of iPads with some good stands,
Yeah,
um,
I've heard that.
sticking them up there. I have a couple of,
The
but
only downside
Austin
that
Montgomery does that, with
who?
Switcher Studio. Austin Montgomery.
Okay.
He was talking to me about that. Shout out to Austin Montgomery and the Roof Co. up in Waco, Texas.
So the only thing that negatively that I've heard about and actually experienced from taking video on iPhone is in the editing process because the type of file. I'm not super techie, but my editors have basically said that they have to transform it into something else so that they can really edit it down, and it's just not the same file format that comes off of like a DSLR or something, a camera like that.
Huh. That's interesting. I haven't heard that yet. I am actually looking into not looking into. We're about to sign the contract. We already like tested them and all that. Two different editors. We went through like 12 to try to figure out which ones would fit us the right. But I think we got down to two different editors. One that will do our banners and like I have some things for the podcast that layouts and things like that. That way
Yeah.
it makes it look nice and professional. So those things are coming soon. But like our excuse me. Uh, our so our basically right now we're the amount in our budget where we're spending. If we were to hire on these two editors, we're gonna save anywhere between $5,000 and $10,000 a year.
What are you doing now
Uh,
for editing?
Contract.
Like Fiverr?
Uh, Not exactly. No, I'm using Muhammad for everything right now, just because he's been solid with me, and I don't have to retrain him.
Hold on, I just got turn my phone off here 1 second. I don't know what just happened. Um,
It's a lively day.
I just lost you. I had a call come in. I'm turning my phone off. Hold on. I just. Jeez. Hold on.
I can see you.
Well, I'm glad you could see me because I can't. I'm pulling up Windows. I can't even.
Ladies and gentlemen, there is a slight technical difficulty on the roofologist side.
Yeah. Hold on. Yeah, I told you I'm not that
It's all
techy.
good. Hey, it's about the journey, man. So like in 3 years, 4 years, we're gonna look back, we're gonna be in like Vegas or something, right? Doing a live podcast, and we're gonna look back to the segment that we did here. It's gonna be
Well,
like,
if you can
yeah.
still see me and the podcast's still going, then let's just keep on going. I'm just going to try to work through this while I'm talking to you. I can still hear you, so I don't know what the deal is here, but
It's all good, brother.
yeah.
So what I want to get into is kind of your mindset. So when you came into entrepreneurship, you went from
There we go.
going to a W-2 to 1099 job.
Mhm.
From that W-2 to 1099, that transition, there was a shift in your mindset. What was that, and what did you do to activate that?
So I kind of like the eat what you kill model.
Okay.
I'm not scared or shying away from a commission job, and I'd already done it. Working in service industry, I mean, they're paying you next to nothing, and then you're reliant on the tips and whatnot. The people leave you bartending, whatever, serving food, whatever you're doing. And so I had already had some exposure to some level of that because by the time it's all said and done, like you're not getting an actual paycheck because the paycheck covers the taxes and the tips you're taking home every day. Kind of the same thing, but instead of cash, you're getting relatively large checks by comparison. And so I really hit the ground running. I was just eager. It was kind of a situation though. I had no choice. I had to make it work because, I mean, I was a single dad at the time, and it's just you have kids. I mean,
Yeah,
your
single
mindset. I
dad,
mean,
that's how I started. Or
I
well,
mean, you and
actually, I
I,
didn't
you and I
start
are from Dade
single,
County.
I was with my wife, but
I mean,
yeah,
you and
like,
I are from Dade County. So
fatherhood will give that.
yeah. So I didn't really require a like a major mind shift per se. I just knew that I knew sales. I mean, I can sell myself. I did it when I was in service industry, and I did it when I was at Top Golf. And so this was just a different a different thing that we were pitching, and I really liked it because, I mean, everybody has a roof. I mean, whether you're renting or owning, you know, everybody, vast majority of people have a roof that at some time, you know, is going to need repair, replacement, you know. So and I also have an abundance mentality. So I I'm congratulating, you know, all the guys that are locking down, you know, a lot more deals than me, because I'm just like, man, dude, there's hundreds of thousands of homes, you know, in the metroplex, or just in our immediate service area. And so I'm like, dude, keep on winning, everybody. Let's go. You know, because honestly, it gives me a little fire myself, because if I can, like, well, I mean, you're not doing anything special. I'll go out and I can do that too, or I can train my guys to go out and do that too. So I really enjoy this industry, just because best job I've ever had, best career I've ever had. You get to make your own hours within reason. You know, I come in and I tell these new guys, I'm like, well, you get to make your own schedule, but that's a good and a bad thing, because you have to manage yourself. Because you know,
Right.
it's a self-motivated deal. But the flip side of that is that you get to spend time with your family that under normal 9 to 5 conditions, you just don't. You know, you got to put in for time off and all this jazz, and you're also locked into a salary or hourly or whatever. And I love this. I love this industry from multiple fronts. You know, the schedule flexibility, the money that can be made, the uncapped money that can be made, and just give me the ability. I mean, I got a 5 year, about to turn 5 years old, and you know, the difference in my life from when I was that single dad just getting in and like hustle, because I had to make it, to now where, you know, I've got some steady stuff coming in. I can really enjoy and plug in and take the time to really, you know, get down on the floor and play with my son. You know, you know, and not at like 9 o'clock when I'm rolling in dog tired and really just want to go to bed. It's a situation
Right.
where I have that ability, and it's an awesome experience, an awesome feeling.
Yeah, that quality of life is absolutely everything. I know
Yeah.
that's something that really attracts people to this industry, attracts reps from other industries. Solar industry, it's a pretty big one where a lot of people come in from the solar or the service industry, like you said. Um, so how we met was kind of interesting. You know,
SVG, man. Yeah,
yeah, SVG.
yeah.
Shout out Anthony Delmedico for building such an awesome organization. Grassroots. I mean, when I think of Anthony, I think of a blade of grass, and how a blade of grass, it just is everywhere. Like it goes into everything.
Oh, you talking about the root system kind of spreads out?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, the root system, or the roots of a tree. Pretty excited that we were able to meet, because I seen you on YouTube, right? It was pretty cool. Not only that, but I also I roofed your mom's house
Oh, you told
in
me about
Lake
that.
Whitney.
You told me about
Yeah,
that.
completely forgot about that. Um,
That was a good
and
connection, man. I was like, oh man, yeah. So
absolutely
yeah.
insane. I mean, so I I'm not necessarily I wasn't born in Lake Whitney or anything. I was born in Houston, here in Houston. Uh, Mom traveled around pretty much my whole life. But when we settled in Hill County, Lake Whitney, and so from Lake Whitney, and I've been all over the country, to come to Dallas from Houston, pop up at an event, and then meet you by seeing your card and saying, I'm in. Hold on. I think I
Yeah.
roofed your
And
mom's
that's exactly where
house.
that connection went. It's like, wait, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they had some rent house. We put some a metal roof on.
Yeah.
Or they were flipping it or something like that. Anyway, really cool. So Hill County area. Did you grow up in the Hill County area? Did you grow up in Dallas? Where'd you grow up?
No, I actually grew up in New England. which is I get a lot of shit for it for being a Patriots fan, but since I was old enough to hold a football, it just kind of one of those things. And then my family decided to take a year tour of the United States, and we ended up in Texas. And so I've hit pretty much all the continental states. Washington and Alaska are about the only states I haven't been to yet. So
That's nuts.
yeah, I actually went to Oregon was also on that list, but Malarkey, shout out to Malarkey for got me up there to play some really beautiful, beautiful golf, man. It was mountains in the background. It was just perfect weather. It was really
So I
lush,
didn't know that. You're
really
a
lush
golfer.
landscape out there. Yeah.
So how long have you been golfing?
Nah, I mean, I use that term loosely, man. I mean, I'm not really a golfer, man.
All
I
right. The
like
truth
I
comes
like
out,
going
ladies
out
and
there
gentlemen.
and hitting it around. I'm pretty much good for uh, a bogey or maybe even a double bogey on every hole. Every once in a while I'll par, but I mean I'm not good. I'm just but I like going out there because it's a great networking
I
opportunity.
know
It's
guys like you.
fun. It's active.
Guys
But
like you take my money.
huh?
I said, guys like you take my money.
No, I'm not. I'm not. No, it's not like that. I'm legitimate. It's not like that Fresh Prince of Bel Air where they're playing pool and old man has to come in and shark them. It's not like that.
So, I made this commitment. I wrote out my my goals. I write my goals out a lot. I wrote them out before the year, and golf, that's on there, right?
Yeah.
And so I started about almost 2 years ago now, but um, so like the beginning of the year, I wanted to get better at golf. So how do you get better at golf? You have to practice. Actually, how do you get better at anything? You have to practice that one
On air.
thing.
Yeah.
You have to do it over and over and over again. And so, it's a hard life. They stuck a 7-hole putting green at my condo, and so less than 100 yards out of my back
I
porch.
mean, that's a winner. That's a winner deal.
I grab my putter, I grab my wedge, and I go and I chip and I putt hour, 2 hours at a time. I haven't been in a couple of weeks because I played 72 holes of golf last week.
I watch your podcast about that. Was like 72 holes. I'm like, so my golf
A
background.
lot.
I mean, I lived on the golf course at Lake Whitney out by White Bluff, and so
Yeah.
when I was a kid, they wouldn't let me rent a cart, so I would walk with a little hand carries. I would walk and I would do 72 holes. But I mean, that was also when I was a teenager. So I'm like, man, you doing 72
Whitney
holes?
is
I'm
so
like,
trash.
that's
Whitney
beast mode.
is so trash, dude. Lake Whitney is so trash.
Man, I mean, it's got its quaint charm, but like I had to get out of there. I'm just,
Bro, you just said it. You were on the golf course and you're a child and they wouldn't let you have a golf cart. Like,
I think it
here's
was
the
a
thing.
policy. I think it was a
And
policy.
like,
I don't blame them for that, but
oh, bro, my kids, they're on a fucking golf cart. It doesn't matter if they're at Kingwood or if it doesn't
yeah.
matter, bro. Like, they run around. Like, I get it. Like, you got to have some energy. You got to walk some stuff out. But like, bruh. Anyway, I'll get off the Whitney thing because I have a half an episode of Lake Whitney building codes.
I know. I heard
all
you.
That stuff.
I heard you going off on one of your podcasts about something like get better, do better.
That's all I'm looking for is like if I say something about it, dude, you got two options. Either get better at it or don't get better at it and you're just going to get exposed.
Yeah.
Right? And it is what it is. That's all I'm looking for. It's my home. And so like I feel like I have a responsibility to be harder on my home. When my aunt hired me to do her roof and reframe her garage, she expected it be done like I was doing it on the road. And that's I'm pulling permits, I'm making sure it's done properly, engineered plans.
Yeah.
And it's not like that in my hometown. Actually, Actually, if something is failing code and you bring it to them and ask them to inspect it, they won't do it.
Oh, I know. I know.
So it's like, what do you do? That's why I joined Harka. That's not just them, right? It's a prevalent thing in just about every city, but Houston's a little better. Um, you gotta get up and do something about it, or else it's gonna stay the same. Those same people that have been in leadership are gonna do the same stuff over and over again, and you have to voice your opinion, or else it's not going anywhere.
I agree. I agree. It's just standards down there aren't matched by what's
No.
up here in the more populated areas. You know, like we
Yeah.
got standards of how your house needs to look. There's so many HOAs up here. I don't know of a single HOA down in Whitney. I mean, I don't even know how well that would go over. But
I think White Bluff is the only HOA.
maybe, yeah,
I'm
yeah. I
almost
think about it.
100% positive.
Yeah, that would
And,
make
like,
sense.
it's a nice spot, like, White Bluff is a nice spot, but it's definitely not like as a kid, White Bluff was, like, the dream.
Oh
Like,
yeah, oh yeah,
you
for sure.
that's where you get a house when you've made it.
And if you were in
And
high
now
school, that's where you got a job on the golf course. That was it.
Right,
That was the
right,
spot. Yeah,
right,
I remember.
right.
I remember. Yeah.
So it's like, but that's that small town mentality. That's why I talk about mentality, because I have people that, and I'm just gonna say it. Me and my wife, we used to throw these banging parties, man. We used to charge at the door, and we've got a couple of people that watch that used to go to my parties, that I connected with, that I'm friends with now, um, that have been watching the journey, that
Yeah.
watch these things because one of them has got cancer and he's just trying to fight. And this right here helps him fight. So I have a responsibility to my viewers to bring them what needs to be said. The mindset that's why I talk about mindset shift,
Yeah.
right? What's your mindset? Where were you at when you did this? Because that could help someone else that is dealing with the same doctor that keeps saying the same shit, that like will not investigate, or their mom that will not take the action to sit down and be with them, or to say a kind word, right?
Yeah.
um Really excited to be able to use my newfound voice as a conduit for some of these people. Tell me about your content. Tell me about your viewers. Do you have anyone that specifically hits you up, like mentorship for roofing, for life, um, that your content challenged you?
So, I don't really consider myself to be a mentor type. I am willing to help. I mean, I'll pick up the phone and I got other contractors that call me, on a fairly regular basis to kind of see, hey, bounce some stuff off me, kind of sounding board and whatnot. But as far as like, taking folks under my wing type deal, I don't really have anybody, and I haven't really, even thought about it.
Yeah,
Just
because guess what? Think about it now, because your content that you've been putting out, think about it. Before I met you,
yeah,
you were a type of mentor, because you were putting out stuff that was true, stuff that I wanted to talk about that I didn't even know how to even begin starting to say. I've been a contractor for about 4 years, 5
yeah.
years. Didn't even know how to start talking about it. But you did.
Well,
You
I
figured it
don't know.
out.
My view of a mentor is somebody that is and I may be selling myself short here. I don't know, but when I look at a mentor, or I envision somebody of mentor status, I look at somebody that has far more knowledge than I do, and is able to articulate it in a training forum type deal to basically help people work past individual hurdles in the road, or whatever the case may be. And I mean, I feel like I do my best to offer that help to contractors that do reach out to me. I mean, obviously with some of the stuff that I install, EuroShield, F-Wave, stuff like that. I mean, they're not new to the scene, but like F-Wave is a handful of years old.
Right.
EuroShield's 20 years old, but I mean, let's be honest, nobody in Texas, vast majority of people in Texas, had not even really heard it until some of the guys like David Summerlee and whatnot had really, broadcast it out there, and then it caught
Right.
my attention. I'm like, oh, hail proof. Oh,
Yeah.
let's see, let's see about
Right.
it. I mean, it stood the test. But obviously, when it comes to stuff materials like that, because they're not as common, I've had dozens of people reach out to me about EuroShield. And when I was installing heavy F-Wave, probably another dozen or so reaching out to me like, hey, what do you think about this? What's your take? And it makes me feel good that my content's getting in front of folks, that it's creating some engagement and whatnot. And obviously, from my perspective, it's a good networking piece for me, because we do coatings. I mean, I personally do coatings, and so some of the relationships
Right.
that started talking about other material and like, what would you do in this situation, and blah blah blah, have now morphed into, hey, I want to know that information too, but hey, I'm looking to open up like a coatings division, or just start doing coatings, part of our commercial division, and I can help them with
That's
that.
a mentor. That's a mentor right there.
Okay, well, I just
Somebody's calling you and asking you for advice. That's a type of a mentor relationship. Like, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You're definitely selling yourself short. Mike, you're a very smart individual. And the reason why I'm saying this is because there are people out there that are looking at your stuff on a daily basis, and they're going to call you like that. And at one point, you're going to fight with that in your mind on whether or not you're being service to them, if enough. That's how I feel. I'm not doing enough
I
for
mean,
you.
like I said, I mentioned kind of selling myself short. I just when I look at a mentor, I mean, typically, a mentor, you're like high end, like top 1%er. I mean, you're paying these guys to be your mentor, and I genuinely I want to help folks. To my core, I enjoy the fact that I put out enough content to where people do call me and ask me, so it makes me feel good. It doesn't, but
Absolutely.
putting that little moniker on there, like,
I'm not saying go out there and write like mentor
right.
Mike
I got
Eyman.
you. I got you.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
that was interesting. I haven't had
No, but I mean,
cell phone
I'll
call come
continue.
through
I'll
yet.
continue doing that with folks and just kind of doing my thing. I try to, give back to the industry. Industry's done me really well, and I mean, if I can help some of the new guys and even some of the not so new guys, kind of
Dude, you've
navigate.
helped me. Like I
Good, good.
bro, you were in this industry before I was. I'm almost 100% positive. And I mean, I've had so many things, especially coatings, where I just don't know what's going on. Um, you've had those answers. I've also had those. I know what needs to be done, and I'm like, but, and you're like, bro, no,
Yeah,
you can't
yeah,
do that shit, like, and people need that. People need to be able to have somebody like you that they can pick up the phone and say, hey, listen, what do you think about this? And you give the absolute truth on what's going on, um, because right now, more than anything in the world, you've got a lot of yes men. You got a lot of yes people, right?
yeah,
And they'll just tell you what you want to hear.
yeah.
And to be quite honest, I don't want to be told what I want to hear. I want to be told how it's supposed to be done.
I do pride myself on not being that. And I'm just like, hey
Yes.
man, don't ask me for the truth unless you're, because that's the thing. Everybody like, oh, I want the truth, I want the truth, but do you really though? Because sometimes the truth is uncomfortable. You know what I'm saying? And I don't mind telling you, but I also don't want you to get up in your feelings because the conversation can be over really quick. If you ask me a question, I give you the answer, and it just so happens that it's not the answer you want, and you get buttered.
Ooh,
I'm like, I'm sorry, man. That's not my problem. That's your problem. But
right.
trying to be professional about the situation. But yeah, I definitely want to just give people exactly how it is. And to that point, I also don't claim to know things that I don't. Right. So I mean,
Yes, there
and
you go.
I can't say who or is doing this, but I'm confident that there are people out there that just kind of shoot from the hip, and it may not be entirely true, or maybe the evidence on this may be hanging on by a thread, but if I don't know something, I'm just gonna be like, hey man, I don't think I'm the right resource for this question. And then if I have somebody like, hey, look, I have a PA that would spot on be able to answer this question, or I have an appraiser that would be spot on to answer this question, or something like that. But I enjoy helping folks out, and so that's really what it comes down to.
I love it. So let's talk about marriage. I don't like listen, and I know my wife's watching this shit. That's why I kind of like turned my head a little bit because I know she's watching this. She loves this shit. Um, I want to talk about marriage. I want to talk about wives for a little bit, right? In particular, um, were you married when you came into the business ownership space, or rather 1099 space?
No, no. I wasn't, well, so I was fully separated. I wasn't finalized divorce yet
Okay.
when I first got in. And then now I'm fortunate enough to work with my wife every day, and I love it. I mean, yeah,
Great
we're
choice
it's
of words
a
there.
unique dynamic for sure, because I mean, her and I are literally together all the time. And so sometimes I'm like, oh, well, you don't have you're finished up with all your office work. Let's jump in the truck, and you and me, let's go ride it out. Let's go, hit some doors. Let's go talk to some clients. Let's go measure this thing out, so on and so forth. And so yeah, I'm very fortunate, and that I know Shannon from Whitney. You know that,
Yeah,
right? Yeah. Yeah. So I shot my shot back in the day, and apparently I hadn't grown into myself, and so she turned me down. And then fast forward, I got a second action at the close.
that's freaking great.
I love it though. I love it though.
So, um, I, I actually, Sarah and I got together at Chicken Express in Lake Whitney.
Okay. Oh yeah. Okay. Okay.
Okay,
I mean, I
so
remember the restaurant. I don't know the story,
the
but yeah.
Cheneys, shout out to the Cheneys. They did own that restaurant. I don't know if they still do. Um, they're awesome owners. Really were. Really, they were. They understood that they're a transition spot for a lot of young people, and so they put a manager, Jenny Alejandro. Shout out to Jenny Alejandro. She was like a second mother to me. And they put that woman in place because of the values that she has and that her family has, because it lined closely with their core family values. And they knew that they were leading children into the next generation, and that they had to do it in the right way. So, Chicken
Lovely.
Express, right here, high school, right here, and they just walk and they're here every day. So it
Okay.
only
High
makes
school is
sense that
really
these high
close.
school kids are gonna work for the Brookshires, for the, Chick-fil-A or Chicken Express or whatever's out there, right? And a lot of people don't really put time into people like they used to. And I thank God that they did at that Chicken Express,
Yeah.
because, like, I got caught smoking weed on the clock, okay? And I was immediately fired, but I had the opportunity to get rehired. And
Okay.
she took me immediately from work to home because I rode a bicycle every day, right? She took me home and she cried the entire way there She pled for my soul the entire way from Chicken Express to my house. I was so young and so impressionable. She knew I was a very addictive personality type guy. She knew if I did the wrong thing, she knew weed wasn't a huge fucking ordeal, right?
Right.
But it leads to other things at that age. And she took the time to tell me what I didn't want to hear. And I was able to take that and use it as fuel. I was able to go to work every day and then tell me to chase my dreams. Don't ever stop believing in your dreams. Yet it's an hourly wage. Yet it's a dead end job. But
Yeah.
they they still were there as a transition, and they knew they were that transition piece. So
That's a
like
good mentality. I mean, that's a solid mentality to look at, even though, it is a minimum wage job. You got guys that have zero experience are coming in, transition job, a footstep to the next one. So
it's nuts, and my wife, she was with man, I don't remember, Clifton. I think she was at the Clifton branch,
okay.
and just so happened to be transferred over to the Whitney branch. That was a God thing. And there we have it, right? So we started out there at the Chicken Express, and then kind of went around. I mean, we've been around the nation, but it was quickly roofing. I mean, I knew as soon as I got her pregnant. As soon as Junior was conceived, I knew I had to do something different. And my buddies started talking, and this was it. Like, they were talking about roofing, man. I was like, well, all right, let's
So
try it. It's one of those on the road jobs.
was your first outfit at Hilco?
No, my first outfit was Roofing Restoration Services of America out of Waxahachie. And the
Wait,
owner
what?
of that was
Oh, wait. So you
Waxahachie,
were RRCA?
RRSA,
Oh,
Lee Hate's uncle.
okay. Okay. That
Yeah,
makes sense. That makes sense.
yeah. Now
Because I knew you had
he's passed, but
RRCA.
RRCA is Lee Hate's company.
Right. Yeah,
RRSA, it was Marty Hate's company. Marty started RRSA a long time ago. You know who LC Newspec is, right?
yep. Yep.
Founder of Matt's Guy.
Mhm.
Okay. LC and Marty and man, I can't, production manager Brian, I forgot his last name. Anyway, there was 3 or 4 of them. They had this company called 4C, and that was in Waxahachie. They started together, okay, and then they opened up RRSA, and then they split from RRSA. And once RRSA split, LC started Mad Sky.
Gotcha. Okay.
Lee was young and moved, well, no, younger, and was in a completely different sphere, not in our, like, not in Waxahachie, right? He wasn't
Gotcha.
in our
Gotcha.
area, right? RRCA was born Florida, completely different.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Um, Lee Haight has built a absolute monster.
Oh, yeah.
Shout out to Lee Haight, shout out to Marty Haight, and all the Corey Sanchez now runs RRSA. Shout out to Corey as well. But no, I started with RRSA about 11 years ago. Waxahachie. I went to a interview, and they're like, go up to Amarillo. So I drove up to Amarillo, and that was the first storm.
Where?
Amarillo,
Oh,
Amarillo,
okay.
Texas.
Okay.
So let's get into flat roofs and metal roofs. So you do a lot of coatings.
Yeah. So my deal with coatings is that up until about 4 years ago, I would be installing 3, 4 roofs a year, doing my own repairs and stuff. I think that I think that it gives people the appreciation of the labor that goes into it. Because I can't tell you how many times I've run across, like new guys come in. We had it happen several times at Absolute where new guys come in and they just don't know. They want things to go a certain way, and then they start, just talking raw to the crews like they're peons. And I'm like, man, you need to hold that back. I don't know where that's coming from, but you don't
Right.
get to talk to them like that. Like, you've been here for a hot 2 weeks. These guys have been roofing housing for this company for 10 years. Like, get off the gas. And so I really tried to I tried to pitch Daniel over to Absolute. I tried to pitch him on the idea of, like, people that come in need to be on a job before they can sell. Like, basically, when I say be on a job, I'm not talking about sitting in your truck, messing with your phone. I'm talking about hoofing bundles or humping bundles and moving stuff around and just doing some labor, because I think it gives you an appreciation for stuff. So anyways, I'm about to be 45, man. I'm just not feeling installing shingle roofs. I've trained my son. My son's really good at it now. I've trained my son, Devin, the leak hound, and he goes up there, finds the leak, fixes it, and I don't have to do it. But I still want to be out working with my hands and stuff like that. So the coatings allow me to do that, because I basically have an in-house, like some of my sales guys, they double as our crew. We go out there, walkie-talkies up, vests on, and we do the deal, And so we like the coatings. It's just, obviously it's good money, even on the sub side, but it keeps me active. I like doing that. I like being out. I don't want to be just a sales guy and I'm just managing projects. I want to actually go out and be the guy that's doing these projects. And so this gives me the ability to do that.
Heck yeah. Nimble. When did you start Nimble?
So Nimble was actually started in 2017 on the recommendation of our CPA at the time. Basically, just says, why, tax, tax benefits and just that sort of thing. And then we took it live. We took it live in 2020. I tendered my resignation with Absolute. Left on good terms. Just it's when you're going down the path with somebody, you need to be in lockstep. And once you start getting out of sync, you start questioning what's really going on. And so I like Daniel. It was time for me to move on. And so I did. And again, kind of go back to working with Shane, and I love it. Obviously business ownership it's not for everybody, and it's not just, roses and rainbows and whatever you want to do to call it, to attribute, always positive, because, there are ups and downs. There's concerns, there's, hard conversations, but at the end of the day, I still get to enjoy, time with my wife and my kids, and we're building something here. So I look to have Devin's already playing an integral role. He basically, he takes care of our training and onboarding. And I want to build this up to where he forever has an integral role here. And then we can kind of, pass that on. So.
That's awesome. That kind of rolls into why you started into the 1099 space to begin with. You wanted more freedom.
Oh yeah, for sure.
The more ability to
sure.
the quality of life, right?
For sure.
I don't know if I could work with my wife right now. And that's just like, that's in all honesty. Like,
look, I get it. I get a lot of my.
She's watching. Like, I know. Here's a comment. She's always supporting. Thank you, hon. I just, at this moment in my life, at one point we did work together. And I was an absolute asshole. Like, I don't know why my wife got with me. I don't. Like, thank you, God, for sending her along. But it was like that high school, like, we picked on each other, got underneath each other's skin type thing. It was always like that. Yeah, well, that shit never stopped. Right. We're still like a giddy little and now, like, doing all the video and all that stuff, like, I don't think so, because there's like she's my best friend, so like we make each other laugh, and I don't know if I could be like that serious. And here's case in point, my boss, the CEO of RSI, I produced a video yesterday about Miracle in a Bucket, the tropical roof coating, the repair bucket, and I was just trying to shoot that. And he is a very giddy, very family oriented, but very funny guy.
Yeah.
It is so hard to record and be serious around that guy. It is absolutely
Be serious about it
hilarious.
around him.
It's hilarious. When no, you try to freaking put the video camera and record something serious, it's not happening. You got to walk away. And that's I would think that it'd be the same with my wife. I know that she does her TikToks while I'm gone. I know that for a fact. She does those TikToks while I'm gone, all her voiceovers, and God, she's getting good. I don't want to admit that as much, but she is really getting good at these TikTok voiceovers, and she doesn't do it while I'm home. It's always while I'm gone. So
Well, yeah.
I don't think I could do the same thing. I think I'd have. I think it's got to be like this right now. I don't
Well, like I
know.
say,
It may be
it
fun.
takes a unique dynamic.
Who
For
holds
sure.
your video camera?
What's that?
Does,
What you saying?
does Shannon hold the video camera?
Not really, not really. I mean, her when it comes to video, she kind of just lets me do my thing, and she'll jump in on one here and there, but that's kind of more my arena. But I'm speaking more to
So
just
who holds the
having the ability
camera?
to work with her.
Who holds the camera when you're on the roof?
That's what I'm saying, man. Me like this, I'm just doing my thing. And that's why when I was referencing early,
Okay.
like raw video, I mean, that's
Yeah.
half the time. If you go back on my videos, half the time it's just me holding the camera, whether it's forward facing or forward facing or back. I'm just showing what I'm seeing, and
You make
that's
it
why
look good.
it's so easy to make. That's why the content's so easy to make. I mean, I can't tell you how many guys I see, and and all respect to them for trying, man. But like they're walking around the roof talking about the dang weather with a camera like this. Everybody can see their neck beard. I'm like their ungroomed neck beard. I'm like, bro, say something of consequence. Like nobody cares about the weather. They can look out the window and see what the
Oh
weather is like.
shit!
I mean, say something that can have value to somebody.
Hi,
So,
my name
I don't
is.
I
I
don't
work
ride hard
for.
on them because at the end of the day, they're getting out there. They're trying to get content. But man, it this shit irks me. They're like, all right, guys, we're it's sunny outside. I'm like, come on, man,
Right.
like do better. Like to talk about the shingles, talk about the
Right.
color, the impact resistance, talk about why you did an open valley, why you did high definition ridge, what the client experience was like. I mean, any number of things you can talk about. Nobody gives a crap about you talk about the weather like you're Evan Andrews on Fox 4. So anyway.
I fucking love it. I seen a post yesterday. It may have been you. Get better at your photos and
So what?
wipe off your camera or whatever. I was
Do
like,
you think I need to wipe off the camera?
yeah. No. No, it was a post on Facebook. Somebody goes, wipe off your. I don't know who needs to hear this, but wipe off your camera before you.
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure. I do that. I mean, because these big old lenses, man, they just get smudged up. I mean, they're smudged right now. So yeah, I'm pretty good about making sure that that's legit. So
I love it. Making content is it's not. I think the hardest part about it is just busting that phone out and starting, or the camera, however else you prefer to do it,
100%.
and actually like doing it, and actually like you said, like giving it a hook, like let's see what exactly you're talking about. Stop talking about your. Hi, my name is. I work for. We do this.
Yeah.
And that's like how I always like to train with sales reps. If you ever any sales reps that I ever had, like they never said those 4 things. Whenever you talk to one of my reps, You
Yeah.
may not know their name in the first like 20 seconds, but you're going to have our brand, our card in your hand, and you'll be reading their name as they're talking.
Yeah.
No need for him to say his name because Johnny's going to say his name. Johnny's going to walk up and say, "Hi, my name is John, and I work for John's Construction, and we do roofs. And I seen that your roof, and it's over. Like your sale is over."
Yeah.
Um, you know, whenever you go about sales and or training sales, do you have a certain system for your sales reps um, to not be salesy and to be different? Kind of like what like Top Golf. They were like, you're too salesy. Well, you're salesy as hell. How do you train your sales reps to emulate that?
I try to make sure that the guys are having conversations and not selling necessarily. The sale can come after the conversation. I'm trying to tell the guys, I'm like, talk about the dog that's answering the door, like barking and stuff, like, oh, the welcoming
Yeah,
committee. Talk about the Bel Air that they have under a tarp in their driveway, or the 68 C10 or something like that. Make a comment about their flower beds or something. Just start the conversation. Get them off the ledge. Hey, look, I'm not here to take advantage of you. Just having a conversation, and then you can kind of move into, hey, the reason I'm here, and talking about, hey, I'm helping Susie down the road. I thought I'd stop by. I couldn't help but notice you got a missing shingle on there. When was the last time you had it checked out? That whole thing. But I
right.
try to tell them not to just go in for the kill,
Yeah,
because people don't like to be sold to. And in our market, which I'm sure the same is true in Houston because of the population density here, I mean, by the time you get to the door, you're the 31st guy. You're the 31st guy. So I mean, you got to come up
yeah,
with something different. And starting that conversation, and really just having a genuine, like, hey, look, I'm just checking it out. Let's have a conversation, and where it morphs to from there. Whether you're interested or not, I'm just going to kind of start with the stuff that's not salesy, and then kind of move into the reason you're there, and what you can offer. So there's no real system to it. I basically just reinforce it. I'm like, hey, have the conversation, then do the sale. So
heck yeah. That's that's relationship driven. That's so
that's it.
I was holding a sales meeting for a roofing company here in the Greater Houston area last Friday, and I was talking about the three P's of selling, and I go off of four P's. So people, price, product, personality, and that personality runs with the people, and like you
Yeah,
have to throw your personality in there and not just be a person.
absolutely, absolutely.
So running close to the end here, um, I want to pick your brain on what you would believe would be the biggest takeaway from your career if you could sum it up in 1 to 3 points that you could encourage someone else that is looking to go into business ownership or just looking to take the next step in life.
In life or in roofing?
Both.
Okay. I don't know if I'm necessarily equipped to give people life advice, but if we're talking about roofing, and like guys that are just starting out, kind of what we touched on previously about social media.
Yeah.
I definitely, I don't think anybody could really dispute that it's really going digital. I mean, it's,
Yeah.
it's just, the whole thing. Yeah, you may get some, flyers and emails and whatnot, or not emails, but postcards and stuff like that out. But my encouragement to anybody that may be watching this, that it's just like, hey, what can I do to spur on more business, is get in front of the camera and have something to say. Don't Nobody wants to see your ungroomed neck beard. Nobody cares about the weather, you reporting on the weather. Find something on that roof that you can talk about. Like, it doesn't even need to be super duper consequential, but just something that adds value, even if it's a sliver of value, something that, somebody watching, like, oh, I didn't know that was called high definition ridge. Oh yeah, I was kind of wondering. Or, oh, that's an open valley. Oh, that's what W Valley looks like. Or that open valley looks really nice. So I have something different. And then talk about the close cut or something like that. I'm just kind of But when people are calling me, because I feel good that I'm in a position where people ask me for marketing advice, even though I have zero marketing background. Like, oh my God, Mike, you're such a good marketer. I'm like, dude, I literally don't know what I'm doing. Like, I go to Google, hey, when's the best time to post? I'm just like everybody else.
Yeah.
All I'm doing different is that I don't care about getting in front of the camera at any time and just saying stuff that actually, I feel helps folks. I'm not just kind of wandering around like just talking about a whole 5 minutes saying 5 seconds worth of shit,
Right.
So yeah, that would be my advice to anybody that is really looking to to take this and really level up. It's going digital. I would like to talk to you. I know we're about out of time here. I know you mentioned at the beginning. I'd like to talk about, or you mentioned talking about licensing. I don't know if we still have time to talk about that, but that is definitely a near and dear to my heart kind of conversation.
Absolutely.
Because obviously, we're in a state that there's some lobbying going on both sides against it and for it. My political view on it is kind of odd because fundamentally I'm against government involvement or more government involvement, but in this particular case in Texas, I think that to some degree something needs to happen, right? And so
Yeah.
for right now, we have the voluntary license through RCAT, which
Yes.
again, I'm a believer in it.
Do you have your license?
I get a lot of naysayers, and they're like, "Well, it's not required," and you're right, it's not. But I would also argue that of the 300 and some odd licensees in Texas, that the vast majority of those guys are there because they want to be on the leading edge of positive change, not just
Right.
because the state required it and they're doing the bare minimum to just get through the process, right? So I can have that little certificate that says I'm state licensed, right? I believe that the voluntary one, at least for right now, I'm not saying that should be the end all be all forever, but I'm saying like RCAT's lobbying in Austin to
Yeah.
get stuff, and then you got companies out there like JFerg out in West Texas cover deductibles every time they can handle it,
Right.
and they're lobbying against like that change that I'm talking about. So, um, I think
They
that
have a special spot next to
you got a
this
special
certain
spot.
someone. Okay. I'm just
Yeah.
gonna say that. Um, I joined the RCAT government committee, or I will be, excuse me.
But you're on the board now, right?
I'm gonna be completely honest. I don't know what all committees they signed me up for. I know I'm in a lot of them. Okay, so like at the beginning of the month, the second week of the month, every day I am in uh, a Zoom meeting or I'm in an in-person board meeting.
Mhm.
I am uh, on the board of directors for HARCA,
Mhm.
and I am on their both of their committees that they have, marketing and one other membership, I believe. Um, and then HARCA, or excuse me, RCAT is a chapter of RCAT.
Yeah.
So we're an RCAT member as well, um, and they only have board meetings once a year, but the committee is really how you work on things as well, not just the board. So I'm jumping into all the stuff that I can right now. I also met a congressman, or excuse me, prior congressman. He's running for council. Ivan Sanchez, if you're watching this, shout out, big shout, even if you're not. Ivan Sanchez for city council here in Houston. He's doing a lot of great stuff. One of the biggest things that he's doing right now is trying to help the permit office get more staff, as well as the changes that need to happen in the permitting division, because there's a lot of changes that need to happen. One of the proposals is, if we put pay to play out there, would you pay to play? Yes, we would pay to get our permits accelerated,
Oh
because of
yeah.
course you're not going to pay the permit department to look over your permit. You
Like
know what I mean?
expedited.
To just turn a blind eye. It's not going to happen.
So like permit expedited.
Permit expedite, but it's a pay to play. So let's say it's $10,000 to get your permit expedited. Would you pay it as a commercial contractor?
$10,000.
$10,000.
$10,000 for the year,
and
all expedited.
and I'm yeah, and I'm thinking there's a lot of people I know that would do that in a heartbeat. I know people right now that are paying thousands to make sure that they're in line in line with the permit because they've waited 3 months for a permit that they just started the work. And I don't blame them. It's
Yeah,
3 fucking months for a residential permit or 4
really.
months for a commercial permit. It just does not make sense.
Dude.
When
Wow.
we are trying to do what's right in our city and we can't even get our permits done right, there's an issue. And that may be staff. That may be because we're understaffed.
That's crazy.
So what do we
I
do
didn't
to
realize it
fix
was that
that?
bad down there. I didn't realize it was
It's
that bad down there.
bad. It is bad. It is definitely not like Plano or Dallas.
Man.
This is a couple of month process that we're having to deal with. And then closing a permit out, good Lord, try to close that permit out. So
Yeah,
this is,
I
I
can
have
imagine. There's
contractors
nothing
calling me daily about this. That's why I decided to make a change, because nobody's doing it. Nobody is taking that. Like you said, everyone is bitching about the voluntary licensing, but they won't do it.
Yeah.
They're bitching about not being able to have a licensing program in Texas, but they won't go and get voluntarily licensed through RCAT. And I mean, I was in a nice circle, and one of the contractors, I was with Dimitri when he was down here, and one of the contractors, that's what he was talking about. And I said, well, why don't you sit back and maybe hush,
I
unless
mean, look,
you're going to stand up
I
and do it.
understand. Everybody has the right to their opinion, and if they don't like it, they don't like it. But I welcome these conversations. So if anybody's out
I
there
love it.
naysaying the RCAT voluntary license or whatever, I would encourage you to give me a shout and let's talk about it. I'm not, I will be the first to say that we're not a perfect organization, but I serve in the public relations and marketing committee for the organization, and I truly enjoy it. I do think that we are trying to do better by the industry. So it's not just this like cash grab situation where like anybody can do it. Like we go through testing. I have to do continuing education every year. I have to background check all this stuff, make sure that we have financial all of our ample insurance, all this stuff. So it's not necessary. It's not a pay to play like what people are saying.
Right.
And so
right.
if you don't want to be a part of it, that's fine. But like, I don't want to be a part of it, but I don't want to be a part of anything else. Just seems like really, like, where are you at on this?
Exactly.
So anyways, I wanted to just say that piece because, obviously when you mentioned that, hey, let's talk about licensing, I was like, oh man, let's go. Cause
The
I'm
reason
very,
I
very
didn't
passionate
start
about
on
that.
licensing is because, well, for one, I could talk about licensing for 3 hours. We can sit here and talk about licensing and
Oh,
permitting.
Kyle, I'm sorry to cut you off. I can see. Yeah, I 100%. I'm sorry to cut you off, man. But Kyle commenting, yeah, homeowners,
Yes.
roofing homeowners need to be penalized for eating deductibles. I 100% believe that. Because
Same.
here's the deal. I think that anybody with 2 brain cells floating around in the damn head should know that it's insurance fraud. And if your contract comes in there and it's like, oh, well, we can manipulate this and move this money around, like anybody that's responsible that would own a house, like you need to know what you're signing on for. And so I think that currently with it only being directed at the contractor, it is what it is, but I definitely feel that there should be some liability on the homeowner for cooperatively making that,
Yeah, you always see TDI posting, and I don't know about other states, but TDI does for sure, the consequences of the actions of a contractor that ate deductibles or committed insurance fraud. And it's all over these websites about the deferred adjudicated probation that they got, the fine of $5,000 that they received. That's not doing shit because they're still doing it. You know what they did? They went out and made a new LLC under another name, and they're doing it again.
Well, I mean, to that point, like kind of going back to everybody saying, or I say everybody, some people saying that RCAT's pay to play. Well, if it was pay to play, we wouldn't kick anybody out. We've kicked
Dude,
down,
it's like
I want to say we did
$400 a year. It's like
board meeting.
$500 a year for fucking membership is not pay to play.
But what I was going to say is that just this year to date, we had a board meeting, I want to say a month ago, and I want to say at that point we had removed 3 people from membership. Just said, hey, you're not. There's a code of ethics. Like if you're not following the rules, like, hey man, hands are tied. Like we definitely love your money and involvement, but like, you know, we don't want to be listed as this pay to play organization where, hey, anybody with $500 can just do it and no repercussions. They can just run amok, and that's just not the case. It's not the case.
Right. Yeah. So I know that whenever I joined the board of Harka, there are a couple of people that whenever I was joining, they were like, yeah, you need to say this and you need to say this. And I'm like, why don't you come to a board meeting and just sit in on it? Because we would love to hear, you know, your feedback on that. And really, I feel like the majority of contractors, like you said, you know, the majority of contractors that are out there, they truly do want to do something to change things. They truly do want to be different. You know, that is why, you know, you'll see, you know, John Smith. I don't know who, you know. Anyway, with that's recording, you know, his gullet,
right?
Because he's trying.
Yeah.
He's trying to do good, right? Like so.
And I'm not trying. I'm not
shout
trying
out to all the guys trying out there that we're banging, but like, listen, we're just this is a positive broadcast to push people and motivate people in a positive way, so that we have positive change in the industry. That's all we're doing here.
Yep.
Right. That's the entire purpose of this.
Exactly.
Mike, it's been awesome. If I stay any longer, I'm going to end up going over my next podcast, which will be unprofessional.
Yeah, you're going to turn into a pumpkin, man.
I'm telling you, I got to get a nice cigar in here in the next couple hours.
All right. Well,
ladies and gentlemen, it was an awesome broadcast today on Roofing on the Rise Studio. We had Mike Eyman, the Roofologist. Mike, thank you so much for coming on with us, and thank you so much for sharing everything that you shared with us today.
Well, thanks for having me on, man, for sure.
Absolutely. Have a blessed day.
Have a good one, guys.